Hey everybody, it's Dr. Greg Rose. I'm here at TPI and I want to talk real quick about the World Golf Fitness Summit. So I'm there and I'm going to be speaking on mobility. Myself and Randy Myers are going to do a hands-on, literally showing you how to improve your mobility in some of the key areas like the thorax or your thoracic spine and your hips and maybe even a little bit of your shoulders. And I thought maybe I'd give you a little quick preview. So over the last 18 months, we've been doing a lot of learning and experimenting here at TPI, and I think we've learned some really cool things that have really dramatically helped improve our ability to make permanent results with our players. And it started with understanding, first of all, what causes mobility problems. So I think a lot of people used to believe it was just like your muscles tight. Well, now we know so much more than that, that literally there are three major causes of mobility problems. There are mechanical problems, like joints and like tissue. There are chemical problems like inflammation or lack of blood flow, ischemia. And then there's neurological causes where your brain's actually causing the mobility problem. It really isn't a tissue or a joint. So I think one of the first things we're going to talk about is how you diagnose which one the problem is. But I thought maybe what I'd do is give you a little highlight of one of the most common mechanical problems, and that's joint problems, right? So most of us have some type of joint restrictions. And one of the key things with joints is if you want to improve a joint, there are really maybe one or two things that we've seen that make a difference in the gym. And the most popular thing that makes the biggest impact is distraction. So in other words, on a joint, if you can distract the joint as you're doing your exercise or your mobility exercise, it tends to make a much bigger impact. And if you're looking at for a golf swing, the thorax is such an important area to be able to have mobility, and so many of our players are tight in the thorax. Well, one of the biggest areas of restriction in the thorax is actually the rib cage. And the rib cage is a series of joints between the sternum and the ribs and the vertebrae. Now, when those joints become restricted, a lot of people are like, well, how do I distract my rib cage? And believe it or not, one of the best ways to distract the rib cage is through breathing. And this is why some of the breathing applications can make such a huge difference on mobility. And when I say breathing, a lot of people I think now like diaphragmatic breathing, breathe through your stomach, not through your chest. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about breathing to expand your rib cage as much as you can, because that expansion creates the distraction. Let me give you an example. I'll show you one of my favorite stretches for thorax, for rotation. Go ahead and you can do this with me at home. Sit in a chair, put your knees together, cross your right foot over your left foot, keeping your knees and your feet together. Take your hands, put your hands behind your head. Okay, now we're going to rotate to the right and kind of get an idea of how far you can turn before you start. So I kind of preview, and I'm pointing at the corner right there. So I get an idea how far I can turn. Now here's what you're going to do. You're going to rotate to the right. Don't let your knees separate. Once you get as far as you can to the right, we're going to laterally flex to the right. That's going to help open up the joints in the rib cage on the left. Now once I get here, we're going to use breath. You're going to take the biggest breath you can, try and expand your rib cage laterally and front to back and make it twice the size. So you can go and then breathe out. And you can even cycle 2 breaths. Breathe out. Come back up, don't unrotate, and now see if you can turn farther. Most of you will be able to turn farther. Now side bend again, big breath in again. Let's go ahead and expand the rib cage. Breathe out. You can do that twice if you want. Come back up and go one more. Side bend again. Really open up the side of the rib cage. Big breath in. Fill up the rib cage. Breathe out. Come back up. And now when you go ahead and retest again, you're already going to notice that you're going to pick up maybe 20 degrees. Go ahead and repeat that on the left side. Imagine if you did that every day. That helps unlock that mechanical block in the joints in the rib cage, makes a massive impact with our players. And I'm going to share with you not only the mechanical things you can do, some of the neurological tricks, and we'll even get into chemical. Hope to see you at the World Golf Fitness Summit. It's in Orlando, October 12th through the 14th.